я сказал. Ladies and gentlemen, presidents of the Republic of Belarus, of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz Republic, the Russian Federation, Republic of Cuba, head of the Collegium of the Eurasian Economic Commission, chair of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, and advisor to co-president of the Republic of Nicaragua. Distinguished heads of states, guests and participants of this event. According to the protocol, I am the first to speak here, not because I'm the most experienced here, but simply because, as it is accepted here, we are the hosting country here in Belarus. Belarus is chairing this union. That is why, as always, the head of the hosting state has the honor to start and to end such functions. This year, Belarus, as I mentioned previously, is chairing the Eurasian Economic Union, and I have the honor to welcome you in Minsk at the Eurasian Economic Forum, at the largest open discussion platform of our union. This room brought together representatives of more than 30 countries of the world. I'm confident that whatever plenary discussions we've had throughout the day will be very useful for the further betterment of EAEU. Recently, it celebrated its 10th anniversary. Unlike some skeptics claimed, this union showed the resilience and ability to find working compromises. It's not simply functioning, but also achieving some success on the principal parameters. Over the 10 years of its existence, we have doubled the trade turnover among the union states. The overall GDP has grown almost by 18%, industrial production by 30%, the agricultural produce volume by 25%, the cargo turnover by 10%, and amount of investments by more than 40%. The level of unemployment went down almost by 50%. It is now less than 3%, 2.8% to be exact. The Eurasian business now fully feels the benefits of tariff-free and duty-free trading and barrier-free payments in national currencies. An important achievement for our citizens are the opportunities of free job finding in EAEU. We have now a digital service called Work Without Borders. We have equal rights in pension accommodation and recognition of educational documents. Now we have countries who act as observers, and they're in different continents. We sign trading agreements, be it geography and functionality of EAEU are expanding. EAEU, now together with the state partners, is the 5th part of the population of the world and is the largest union size-wise. On this huge territory, we have a concentration of about a quarter of all the explored natural resources. Our union is ranked #1 in terms of the oil extraction, 2nd in terms of the gas extraction and mineral fertilizers, 3rd in terms of wheat, potatoes, cattle farming, and in terms of the length of railroads. #4 in terms of the coal extraction, pig iron, and the overall length of car roads. But of course, we cannot be happy only with these results, because despite all of this, the GDP here is just 4% in the global structure. What does it mean? It simply means that the potential of our integration union is not to put to its utmost use. And in the next 10 years, we at least need to double this figure by giving a new boost to this integration. Actually, we were adopting the strategy for the development of this union at the level of heads of states until the period of 2025. Tomorrow, we'll revisit it again, and I can tell you right away, not everything is good there, because up to 18 very important bullet points have not been implemented in full. So you can draw your own conclusions. That's why it's time for EAEU 2.0, as we say it in Belarus. We need to set the bar higher and achieve it. To a large extent, the solution of this problems would depend on our Eurasian Economic Commission and its apparatus, as well as heads of governments and heads of states. Each one of my colleagues present in this room share my understanding how we want to see our countries in mid-term and long-term future. We must find and jointly implement joint measures to make sure that this integration delivers some added value, so that people would see that independently without this union, we simply won't be able to achieve it as well. When we were signing the union agreement, 2025 was set as a sort of deadline, beyond which we'll start a new stage in the development of the Union. And now we have all the reasons to believe, and I will underline it once again, to showcase a new element for Union 2.0. Under the conditions of global turbulence, it's important not to be lagging behind, but to have a positive impact on the global agenda, have well-thought-through models and how to respond to external challenges, not to be lost in the oversaturated international market. EAEU 2.0 must have its own Eurasian economic product, which would be popular and really shared and enjoying high demand for all member states. This is the basic precondition of conquering new positions in the global arena. In the beginning of the year, in the address of the heads of states as the chair, Belarus declared the need for cooperation in those areas without which now it is impossible to feel sure and confident among other global leaders. They include e-transport, microelectronics, robotics, information and communication technologies, and new materials. The work on the cooperation projects has started. We have adopted the proper decisions. The union budget now has allocated funds for that. We don't need to try to catch up with each other in conventional industries, but instead become top leaders in the new industries, which we haven't thought even about. But they will come to our minds. By uniting the potentials of our economies, we're quite capable of creating unique Eurasian products, starting from airplanes, trains, and AI solutions. Actually, we have learned a thing or two in this field. In the EAEU version 2.0, we need not only to unite our potential, but to rationally and wisely use our resources. It is quite evident that each country needs to do space exploration, but not every country has a launch pad for that. Within our union, same approach would apply to other industries. Instead of competition in the manufacturing of same types of goods or replicating each other in a single industry, we need to try to be complementary to the efforts of each other by trying to integrate into the existing industrial chains of the existing flagship companies by offering a new type of proposal for the new EAU market and for the exporters. For the breakthrough, we need to pull together our scientific, engineering and financial potentials. A good solution here would be the creation of joint research and innovative centers that will be developing new technologies and products. The connection between science, and manufacturing capacity, keeping an eye on the export, will ensure our sovereignty and competitiveness of our products on the global market. The services sector is a half of the overall GDP of EAEU. There is still great room for its growth. The point of application of our efforts is the modern transport corridors created on the basis of national segments which connect the big Eurasia area. In south and east, we have the neighborly belt. We need to connect it by the ramification of car roads and rails and logistical hubs. Integrated Eurasian transport corridors must become full multimodal environmental arteries with a single digital platform of their control. The reduction in wait time and the reduction of transit costs of Eurasia will increase competitiveness of these transportation routes compared to the sea routes and will position EAEU as a global transit hub. I suggest that we consider this initiative jointly with the observing countries within the framework of the STO and EAEU dialogue. Another catalyst, financial integration. EAEU 2.0 should see investments crossing the borders by creating thus new opportunities. We need, in the shortest period of time, to complete the tasks on the shaping up the shared financial market and ratify agreements on standardized licensing in banking and the insurance sector about the shared access to the participants of the financial market. In the Union 2.0, of course, we must focus on digitization, whether we want so or not. Creation of a single digital platform for business and development of electronic trade, the use of big data, these are the areas which will invariably help our economies to increase their efficiency. And within our union, we need to put a stop to the slogans on the preservation of national digital sovereignty. No, we need, in practice, try to connect the used platforms with the national databases and registry lists and recognize the digital signatures and digital documents. And yet, by addressing these applied tasks, we need to remember that the chief goal for the development of the Union is to improve the well-being and prosperity of our citizens. All our efforts are for people here, and that's why we need to be concerned about creation of new jobs, management of labor migrations, healthcare, and uncovering the potential of our tourism capacity. Dear friends, we have at our disposal all the instruments that many countries are just trying to create. Now, the chief task for us is to increase the efficiency of their use for the benefit of the real integration. We should, under no pretext, turn it into just a platform for empty talk. It should instead become a magnet for all the stakeholders. We've been talking recently that the whole world is torn apart by the high level of turbulence. If somebody from the post-Soviet area, and I'm talking about economy now, thinks that you can skip it over single-handedly by benefiting from something like that, no, you're wrong. We should never lose something that we have inherited from the Soviet Union, which is the single market. Those industrial capacities and factories, high-tech factories, like we can see it in Russia, when Western companies ran away from Russia, Russia is trying to reanimate its factories in industrial capacities that used to be high-tech during Soviet times. Like even if we take car manufacturing, Lada, Zhiguli, as we used to call it, there are very good cars manufactured in Russia. Maybe it's not Mercedes yet, but it's pretty good. The same is true about other areas of economy. That's why we should never allow ourselves to repeat the same mistakes. We must preserve and conserve what we have inherited from the Soviet Union, what but is still alive. And we should never try to look over our shoulders. Nobody is waiting for us. Economy will invariably lead us to join our hands, stay together, because this space was created by many generations, and the times now are dictating us to pay very serious attention to this, only together, knowing each other, and so far talking the same language. You can see 30 countries who are present in this room here. They're present in Minsk, and the faraway Nicaragua and Myanmar and United Arab Emirates, and tomorrow we'll be discussing with them free trade conditions, and many countries are prepared to cooperate with us. But EAEU, the core countries, need to have something to offer them. Another conclusion, you know the positions of Armenia, for instance. It's just to say, okay, we will skip personal presence at this. Okay, they can do that. But if something is happening, you should not find fault with only one country. You should try to find also reasons for something else. Why Armenia occupied such contentious position, maybe? Not everything is good in our relationship, and we shouldn't simply sneeze at that. And I mentioned 18 basic bullet points from our strategy that we expected to be fully implemented until 2025. They are not implemented yet. Tomorrow, of course, we'll raise these matters and try to discuss it if the heads of state are prepared to discuss it. I will be direct with you. People are not really willing to go deep into these matters, but we must make ourselves do that. Time requires it from us. As I often say, if we are just marking time, if we are moving slowly, then others will catch up with us, trample on us, and go ahead, just like it's happening already in many other aspects. Once again, I will repeat, we should not turn our union into the platform of empty talk. It must be turned into an absolute magnet for new participants. The number of countries represented at this forum once again demonstrates the huge interest to our union. Let us try to use this moment. This is a great opportunity for all of us. Let's use it to the maximum. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Lukashenko, for such an profound introduction. Of course, it will make pace for the whole plenary. You know, we've just heard your vision about new Union 2.0, only together. I think it can be used as a motto, which resonates in all our hearts. Next question will go to the President of Armenia, Mr. Nikol Pashinyan. He's with us, connected by video connection. Mr. Pashinyan, can you hear us?
Last year in Yerevan, you mentioned that digital processes must be useful for people of business. This year, we presented a draft of a document talking about progress. Based on this, I have two questions for you. In your perspective, what are the key prospects of digital development in the EAU, and how do you assess potential of cooperation in the IT sphere? Please, Nikolai Lvovich, the floor is yours. Thank you very much. Dear heads of states, heads of delegations, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome you and extend appreciation for the work done in putting together the program. The Republic of Armenia considers digital development as one of the areas of sustainable development. We are convinced that it is the digital development and the digitalization that opens up new opportunities in governance and social sphere. Armenia has already implemented interagency cooperation architecture, thanks to which government and their agencies do not duplicate information, but rather access the primary source via secure channels. This helped create integrated digital services, combining all stages of service provision in one transparent and easy-to-use process. This approach opens up new opportunities for establishing a common digital environment. Armenia today is one of the countries which offers complex technological solutions and services. Armenia conducts holistic work on a digitalization front, improving digital literacy of people, developing modern cybersecurity mechanisms. A recent decision by M-Media to open up a research center in Armenia proves the point that even small countries with ambition and technological capabilities can play an important role in global technological ecosystem. At the national level, Armenia is already investing in the training of experts of machine learning, big data, and cognitive technology, creating local sandboxes for testing solutions based on artificial intelligence and developing a regulatory framework based on ethical principles and data protection principles, which ensures a guaranteed trust toward data, facilitation of procedures, and access for citizens and business. This will serve as a groundwork for building new high technological sectors. Already today, innovative solutions and AI help not only automate processes, but also to dramatically change an approach to the process from proactive to predictive. This provides new avenues for more precise, personalized, and timely solutions, especially in such important areas like governance, healthcare, and social protection. Distinguished colleagues, Armenia affords a lot of attention to participating in the digital agenda, viewing digital transformation as a tool that eliminates barriers and enhances transparency and mutual trade. We are focusing on digitalization in a customs sphere as a way to build a space of trust. Armenia, which does not have common borders with other EU members, developing near-border infrastructure becomes particularly prioritized. In the end, I'd like to say that we are open to developing transboundary platforms and pilot projects that will not only allow us to implement existing technology, but also develop our own interesting and effective solutions. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, dear Nikol Vavaevich. Next question goes to the President of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. Integration within EAEU in the past 10 years brought a lot of results. The trade over doubled in that time. There is active cooperation with third countries. In May, in Astana, you mentioned priority of sustainable development for ensuring economic growth, diversification, and ensuring competitiveness of Kazakhstan. One of the priorities is development of artificial intelligence. In your view, what are the prospects of digital development in trade in the EAU, and what steps have been taken in Kazakhstan to deploy AI?
First of all, dear friends, allow me to extend my words of gratitude to the President of Belarus, distinguished Alexander Lukashenko, for his invitation to be here with you. Every time when I arrive in Minsk, I am amazed at the picturesque nature of Belarus. I'm amazed at the cleanliness and neatness of the capital city of Minsk and the warmness and hospitality of the brotherly nation of Belarus. That's why wholeheartedly allow me to wish Belarus and its people prosperity. The Eurasian Economic Forum has proven that for everybody that it is a very efficient platform for the discussion of matters related to our integration union. I'm sure that the ideas and proposals about the betterment of the EAEU, there will be many of them because we're having working plenaries here, will contribute to further strengthening of the union in the interest of all the member states. For that, we have all the reasons to believe that will happen. Now, on the threshold of its new development stage, EAEU quite deservedly occupies one of the top unions of Eurasia with total GDP of $3.6 trillion. Last year, it achieved a new record, $98 billion, by thus doubling the indicator of 2015, when actually the union was put together. And the growth rate of aggregate GDP here keeps doing better than the global average. And we are improving our reputation. Union is becoming ever more important subject of the global international system. The further development of the Eurasian Economic Union must build, we believe, on the principles of equality, mutual benefits, pragmatism, and of course, you should serve the interests of economies of our countries. The integration as such is not going to bring any sought-for results, because this, first of all, is the result of joint search for compromise to achieve the results expected. This is quite a tall order, and this is what our heads of states are doing, and under their leadership, the governments of our countries keep negotiating with each other to make sure that our cooperation brings new benefits to our countries. Going back to the question of the moderator, I can say that modern challenges are requiring new approaches to economic development, and a key role here is played by digital technologies. Generally speaking, the digitization and artificial intelligence are among the top priorities of our public policies. Electronic commerce, digital document circulation, automated control systems, and logistics have become an integral part of the elements of the EAEU member states. They allowed us to significantly cut the costs, expedite the movement of goods, and to simplify the access of business to our common market. We all stand witness to the rapid change in the world under the effects of the total digitization, which is the foundation of the global technological shift. Basically, we already live in the era of AI. And in the center of this process, of course, we see the artificial intelligence, the technology which does not simply increase the productivity, but it transforms the whole principle of how economy, state, and the society exist and operate. Now AI is integrated into such conventional areas as communication, transport, energy, healthcare, and education. Of course, there are some negative effects related to the mainstreaming of AI, like ChatGPT, for instance. Students are known to use it very frequently, and some political leaders use ChatGPT to write speeches. But I believe that this is just a side effect of AI mainstreaming and digitization as such. But without this, we cannot survive, I think. This is the main trend of the global development now. According to the forecast for 2030, digitization and artificial intelligence might contribute to the GDP, global GDP, up to $15 trillion, thus replacing up to 300 million jobs, but instead creating new professions. Which will be those new professions? Let's sit down and think together and try to forecast what they will be. So far, it's still unknown where AI is going, who it will replace. There are some ideas about this, of course, but there are no exact predictions. We see a stronger global competition in AI, and we see hundreds of billions of dollars invested into digital infrastructure, scientific research, and training of highly skilled personnel. The Eurasian Economic Union has a historical chance to be part of this global process. I believe that it is important to use this window of opportunity to reinforce our role in the global digital order. It goes without saying that AI is bringing forth some new challenges, such risks as unequal access to technologies, reduction of traditional jobs, reduction of digital sovereignty, including dependence on global digital monopolies. In other words, there is a real threat when a relatively small group of states who are highly technologically developed countries who can spearhead this process, whereas the absolute majority of the modern world will be sidelined by this development process. But on the other hand, I believe that EAEU must be the one to spearhead this process and to prevent it from happening, just what a president of Belarus mentioned it in the introduction. In other words, digitization and artificial intelligence must become the absolute priority for the development of EAEU, and I believe that one of the sessions, even at the level of heads of state, must be dedicated to this exact matter. Next year, according to our rotation mechanism, we'll be chairing the EAEU, and with Godspeed, we'll have the next session in the capital of Kazakhstan, and then the next session, I promise, will be focused on joining our efforts on the development of AI and digitization. All the challenges are holistic in nature. That's why we must come up only with a systemic and collective response to that. Kazakhstan is actively working on strengthening its capacity in this strategically important sector. I've mentioned it before that AI and digitization are among the state policies. I am personally concerned about this, and we consistently are developing national digital infrastructures, and very soon we'll be launching a so-called supercomputer with absolute top capacity. Its resources will be dedicated to scientific research, modeling, processing of big data, and solving super hard mathematical puzzles. Our supercomputer, the first of such in the Eurasian Economic Union, has become the result of a negotiation process with the leading global companies. I personally, in the course of the past at least 2.5 years, was part of those negotiations, and we finally managed to get the required technologies or these super chips for the national supercomputer. In Kazakhstan, we have a council for the development of artificial intelligence. We're planning also to adopt a specialized law for that. These steps are serving to create strong institutional foundation for the mainstreaming of AI. We're also building partnerships with the leading universities and research centers, by thus creating academic ecosystem to train specialists of the new generation. And in that regard, I would like again to use the words of gratitude to say that we just recently opened a branch of the Moscow Physical Mathematical University in Almaty. It is one of the leading universities in the field, and we're very grateful to the leadership of Russia and the government of Russia for such a decision. We have reached the principal agreement on opening the branches of leading Russian universities, and it has been endorsed at the top level, and we're interested to work together and together train academic personnel. This year in Astana, we are going to open an international center for artificial intelligence, ALEM Artificial Intelligence. Also, we are working on the experimental zone called Crypto City, which is intended to become the magnet center for top global leaders in cryptocurrencies. Also, we're planning to pilot new solutions related to the broad use of digital assets. Generally speaking, Kazakhstan, of course, stays open for cooperation, and it offers to the countries of the Union to jointly participate in the launch of innovative clusters, technoparks, startup incubators for the scientific development and technologies where they can be turned into successful commercial solutions. Dear participants of the forum, the advanced digital technologies are capable of giving a significant boost to the trade and economic cooperation between our countries. We have all the inputs for that. We have strategic documents, accumulated experience, and general understanding of our priorities. Most importantly, as I believe it, we need to act together, pragmatically and in expectation of the further steps. I'm sure that the systemic and consistent policy of our states, joining our efforts at the Eurasian space, will allow to make artificial intelligence a source of sustainable growth and global competitiveness of our economies. As for Kazakhstan, we stay committed to the further strengthening and development of integration. We are prepared for joint work on building the efficient, open, dynamic Eurasian Economic Union. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Takayev, for your speech, and thank you for your warm words about Belarus. Next question will go to Mr. Sadir Japarov. Mr. Sadir Japarov. Kyrgyz Republic is actively involved in the Eurasian integration processes. Development of industry, especially light industry and other related industries, is one of the priorities for your country. Among the new innovations are economic aspects in economy, education and science, and sports and tourism. In that regard, which initiatives in the field of industries can be viewed by you as new points of growth? What are the prospects of the development of joint educational and scientific programs under EAEU? Mr. Japarov, over to you now. Thank you.
Distinguished heads of states, dear participants, I cordially welcome you and the guests of the Eurasian Economic Forum. First off, I would like to thank the President of Belarus, Mr. Alexander Grigorovich Lukashenko, for hospitality and the high level of organizing the forum. Regarding your point, I'd like to note the following. The industrial cooperation is one of the key areas of engagement in the Union. Since the creation of the Union, the industries have shown growth, and in the past 6 years it grew by 29%, increasing 1.5 trillion US dollars as of 2024. We built an industrialization map, which currently includes 271 projects in 31 sectors, totaling over 240 billion US dollars, and also 250 some large and innovative projects, totaling 18 US dollars. This is what our agro-industry map contains. Such achievements were made possible owing to close cooperation between EU member states and pragmatic engagements in industrial and agro-industrial complexes in the Union. Dear participants of the forum, recently we've taken serious steps to strengthen industrial cooperation. One of such measures is the financial support of cooperative projects in the Union. Understandably, initially, business may experience some difficulties in terms of meeting necessary selection requirements. So some of the financial requirements could be revisited to make them more lenient in terms of accessories and parts, especially for small economies. Another instrument of engagement are the Eurasian economic platform. This instrument helps integrate scientific, business, and industrial capacity to develop high-tech sectors. Today, about 18 platforms have been developed, including biotechnology, microelectronics and IT, green technology and energy, machine building, and new materials. To successfully implement and deploy this mechanism, we need to develop measures of institutionalization and cooperative development, including partner search, developing financial models, and support. It is important to build close and firm business ties. In this context, I would like to highlight the Eurasian project of industrial cooperation, which should act as a digital platform for signing contracts, exchange, and organizing supply chains between EU enterprises. The platform has already mentioned to connect various producers, and there are good, successful projects in automobile and pharmaceutical fields. With that, we need to continue to develop this platform and expand its functionality. Dear colleagues, in the context of structural transformation of economy, the challenges for the EU countries become stronger. Therefore, long-term investment and research and development are required. New technologies must be deployed in the economy, which will enhance the number and quality of services. In this area, this is what I would like to offer. In order to achieve sufficient level of industrial development, we need to raise the localization productions in the territory of the Union countries. We need to create auxiliary clusters by including small and medium enterprises in supply chains. Considering expedited rate of new technology deployment, we need to pay special attention to digital transformation of the industrial sector and usage of robotized systems in the production. Secondly, establishment of a competitive research capacity in industrial and agro-industrial fields. For this, we need to ensure free exchange of scientific information and cooperation between academic institutes. We need to ensure interlinking of educational and academic institutes for R&D. Thirdly, search for sources of finance to develop and implement innovative projects. Considering best practices of some countries in the framework of the Union, we need to put in place a mechanism of support and stimulate production and use high-tech products. An effective and holistic solution here could be creation of joint competency centers in each of the EU member states and support for research and development. In this sense, the Commission and the governments need to work through this and come up with recommendations. Dear participants of the forum, considering the priority of this direction, it has been included in the development plan of the Kyrgyz Republic until 2030 as a priority. Creating sustainable economic base and creation of added value products. We see prospect of scaling up in those sectors which can quickly create jobs, build up exports, and involve all the regions of our country. These are textile, food processing, construction materials, pharmaceuticals, and machine building. Besides creating conditions of cooperation, we will continue to develop our financial infrastructure that will help Kyrgyzstan use all the possibilities for localization. In the end, I would like to assure you that the Kyrgyz Republic stands to reinforce industrial development both in the EAU and with trade partners, and it has a range of production factors to be a worthy participant in the supply chain. This is our vision regarding your question. Thank you. Thank you very much, dear Sadir Nurgazhevich. Now I would like to ask the President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Dear Vladimir Vladimirovich, the development of international cooperation, creation of conditions to move products to international markets is an objective that the EAU member states set as a national strategy and as part of the Union. We're talking a lot about interlinking potentials of EAU, CSTO, and SCO, and ASEAN. In this context, we need to demonstrate the ability to quickly react to the changes in the external environment while keeping a status of a good, reliable partner. How does Russia see the EAU in developing multipolar development, and how do you assess the prospect of the EU in financial and global institutes? Dear Vladimir Vladimirovich, the floor is yours.
Dear Alexander Grigorievich, dear friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Before I will proceed answering the questions addressed to me, I would like to greet all the participants of the plenary session of the Eurasian Economic Forum. I note that Minsk there are a lot of representatives of large, medium, and small businesses who arrived in Minsk, those who work on the development of business styles with the EU and understands personally the benefits of integration and what else is needed to improve the conditions of mutual trade and mutual investment exchanges. I know that today, at least as the colleagues mentioned during the seminars, during this forum, there are a lot of issues discussed on this forum, including those topics I mentioned now. All the ideas, all the recommendations, all the proposals made by the Russian colleagues will be taken into consideration in our future work to strengthen Eurasian Economic Union. As for the role of the EAEU in the formation of the new multipolar architecture of international relations, I would like to remind that I will have to repeat some issues, the numbers that were sounded, but I consider this important and some things will be mentioned again. Sorry for that. I think it's important. I would like to remind that on the 1st of January, the EAEU celebrated 10th anniversary. During this time, it became stronger and established itself as a successful integration association that strengthened its integration potential, strengthened the potential of the 5 countries, and established itself rightly as one of the key centers of global development. I would like to mention that the total GDP of the participants of the Eurasian Union increased from $1.6 to $2.6 trillion. The turnover with the third countries amounted 38%, reaching $800 billion, which is comparable, a trade comparable with the leading economic countries of the world. This is a good turnover, $800 billion. The mutual trade inside the Union doubled, reaching $97 billion. 93% of transactions between our states is done in national currencies. Manufacturing improved within EAEU, 30% for manufacturing, industry, agriculture, 26%. More than 40% increased the investment to basic capital, which is a very good indicator, which means that the contribution of 40% is important to ensure the growth in the middle term. And the unemployment, as was mentioned, decreased up to 2.8%, in Russia 2.3%. It is one of the best indicators in the world as of today. The 5 countries of the Union will not stop to that. We will strengthen integration mechanisms, improve the authority and influence of the Union on the international arena. Our association has always been open for cooperation with all interested foreign partners. Active cooperation is being developed with the countries of the Eurasia, Africa, Latin America. We're strengthening our contacts with multilateral structures. You have just mentioned this: BRICS, CIS, SCO, ASEAN, African Union. The Eurasian Union have a lot of agreements with large partners: Vietnam, Singapore, Serbia. In May, an agreement entered into force of free trade agreement with Iran. Hopefully, the situation in the Middle East is going to calm down. The conflict between Israel and Iran will be in the past soon. And we think that from that on, we will develop our relations with all the participants. With Iran, we closed a respective deal. And tomorrow, at the meeting of the Supreme Eurasian Council, we are planning to discuss the cooperation with the United Arab Emirates. At the discussion stage, we have the issues of liberalization of trade with Indonesia, Egypt, India. By that, our integration association makes a great contribution to the creation in our common Eurasian space of a large space of cooperation and economic growth. The area where we respect the right of each state for their own model of development, taking into consideration the interests of all participants. We are convinced that at the basis of these principles of just and we will build our multipolar world. At this stage, we are going good. We have good relations with our partners. As for the second question, the cooperation of the EAU with global and regional financial institutions, I would like to note the following thing. The 5 countries of the Union take efforts to integrate financial infrastructure. We approved the Convention of the Common Financial Market. We created Eurasian Bank of Development and Eurasian Fund of Stabilization and Development. These structures give credits and provide expert support of the projects with high integration effect. They help to ensure financial stability on the entire wide area of the EAEU. As of the beginning of this year, the Eurasian Stabilization Fund accumulated about $9 billion. If necessary, it can be used to support the budgets of the 5 countries of the Union. Eurasian Bank accumulated the bank of $16.5 billion. And it financed the construction and modernization of energy facility in Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, creation of created agricultural facilities in Armenia. The Eurasian Bank allocated funds to build Western high-speed diameter and the Central Ring Road in Russia and help in construction of the airport Pulkovo in Russia, and other initiatives were supported by the bank. Eurasian Union and the member states support extensive contacts with different regional financial organizations, such as New Development Bank of BRICS, Asian Development Bank, Asian Infrastructure, and the Investment Bank. As far as I remember, in its time, World Bank helped the Eurasian Commission to prepare a recommendation for implementation of the digital agenda of the EAEU. These recommendations were used in work to ensure technological compatibility and harmonization of legalizations of the countries of the five countries of the Union in digital area. Speaking about the Russia, in knowing the circumstances of in the world, the dialogue with financial institutions of the West is difficult because they are politically biased. But we try to reduce the dependence on the financial Western institutions, minimize the use of foreign services for transactions. We transition to direct correspondent contacts. Many of them are connected to the financial messaging system of the Central Bank of Russia. We see success of the EAEU in building the connectivity of the international transaction systems and payment card systems. Other thing, we mentioned BRICS, and it was mentioned also by the previous speakers. In BRICS, we work on the creation of the investment digital platform. And of course, these ideas can be implemented by the EAEU. Same goes to other national instruments and payment mechanisms, national transactions, electronic money, and other things. There is no doubt regional financial institutes that appear from this, they will multiply and they will acquire territorial, regional character. They will acquire global character. As we all know, there is no secret, a large amount of our gold and gold reserves are frozen in the Bank of England, and they always say that they are going to steal our money. As soon as this happens, the movement to the direction of regionalization of the payment systems will be faster, and it will acquire, and there is no doubt, a character of no return. And this is a useful thing for global economy, and probably we should pay for that. And by the way, I just thought I have an education in a legal sphere. I said that they are thinking of stealing. Stealing is what they want to do is not stealing. They want to rob our resources. And we are aimed at strengthening our own financial transaction systems. We will do it together in cooperation with the participants of the EAEU and other friendly states and our supporters. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Vladimir Vladimirovich. Distinguished participants, here among us we have the observant country. The Republic of Cuba has always been showing interest to the cooperation with EAEU. I would like to invite here the President of Cuba, Dios-Canel Bermudez Miguel Mario. Mr. President, you have the floor. Distinguished President Lukashenko, President of Belarus and the chair in the ruling bodies of EAEU. Distinguished Mr. Sagintayev, chair of the Eurasian Economic Commission. Distinguished heads of states, members and observers under the EAEU. Dear guests, we have done a long travel, but that journey brought us all to this beautiful city of Minsk. For Cuba, it's a great honor to visit the Fourth Economic Forum, which we consider as a key platform for the exchange among companies and integration entities. It makes us very happy that for the second time the delegation headed by the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Cuba participates in this forum. It is a confirmation of our commitment to strengthen our links with the Union, its member states and observers. These are the countries that we are united by a high level of relationship and long-standing friendship. Cuban companies represented here, in spite of the cruel blockade of a very powerful neighbor, show their expert potential, along with the advantages of the Cuban legislation and the market, a high level of professional and technical and human resources, and the great opportunities for the infrastructure created in different areas of the country. For the purpose of awareness raising and explanation, what are the main channels of deepening of entrepreneurial communication? We have organized a separate sideline panel to strengthen links between EAEU and the Latin American and Caribbean countries. For that express purpose, we are starting an initiative to use Cuba as an investment and logistical hub when you could use the capacities of Port Mariel and geographical position of our island to make it a main point for the shipment of your products to Latin American and Caribbean region. We're talking about a especially important project that would create a logistical center for the acceptance and the distribution of cargoes among EAEU countries to and fro. Along with that, we'll contribute to the transit and expand the transit capacity of the countries of the Union. To continue on the same note, I would like to extend my warm welcome and invitation so that the EAEU and the companies of the member states would participate in the 41st Havana International Fair, FEIHAF 2025, that is going to be organized on 24th until 29th of November this year. We are open for the deepening and exchange in key sectors such as biopharmacy, agriculture, sugar production, light industries, chemical industry, transport, construction, communications, ICT and AI, renewable energy, healthcare, education, and sports. The cooperation that we'll create together will lead us to a mechanism of sustainable and resilient growth. With these efforts, one will be building a joint platform based on parity and pragmatism. We confirm the readiness of Cuba to move together ahead. Thank you for your hospitality and support. Together and in an integrated manner, we can face whatever challenges that seem to be insurmountable at the moment. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for your speech. Now I would like to address the chair of the Collegium of the EAEU, Mr. Sagitayev. Mr. Bakidjan Sagitayev, in this room we have many guests who came here not simply to show their respect to the member states of EAEU, but also they came here with pragmatic goals. I'm sure many of them are interested in the results achieved and the future prospects of the betterment of the Union. In that respect, I have two questions for you. What are the existing positive aspects of the development of Eurasian integration, and what is being done to further strengthen cooperation with the third-party countries? Over to you now.
Thank you very much. Distinguished heads of states, heads of delegations, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Eurasian Economic Commission, I'd like to thank the Republic of Belarus for excellently organizing the 4th Eurasian Economic Forum. This is a great platform for exchanging experience and best practices. We need to find new ways and solutions to ensure sustainable growth and stability. This all contributes to international cooperation. Since its establishment, the Eurasian Economic Union has shown a steady growth, and I'd like to repeat some of the figures because they're really impressive. Over the 10 years, the aggregate GDP grew by nearly 18%. The share of the Union has grown to 2.4%. The mutual trade over, based on 2024, reached about 100 billion, and about 94% of payments are made in national currencies. The export of services grew to 96%. The level of unemployment dropped to below 3%. Armenia has stepped up exports by 13%. Kazakhstan and Russia doubled their exports. So these indicators are a great example of the benefits of participating in the Commission. The key postulate is achieving the key objectives of the agreement on the Eurasian Economic Union. This is free movement of goods, capital, and people. Over 100 barriers have been cleared in the internal markets. 96% of products are produced using uniform rules. High level of labor liberalization has been achieved. In 122 sectors, there is a common market of services, meaning no licenses and permits are required. Financial markets continue to be formed. Transboundary access of securities has been looked into. Energy sector. We continue to work on the primary document of oil and oil markets. Accords have been reached on the gas market. Ensuring food security is under tight control. Production of agricultural goods has increased by a quarter. To develop the real economy sectors, a financial support of cooperative project mechanism has been launched. First requests have been approved. We count that this mechanism will organically supplement the already available practices. Considering a rapid growth of digital technology, we continue to develop a common digital space which will facilitate engagements between governments, businesses, and people. Our job is to make all processes easier, faster, and safer. The main directions here is to reduce, we reduced by 6 times the release time. We used navigation seals, which made the transportation process seamless. We created a basis for cooperation between businesses and the government, technological basis for seamless engagements of the national platforms has been created. Our position internationally has strengthened quite a bit recently. We're continuing to cooperate with Mercosur, with BRICS, with governments of 25 countries. We've signed a memorandum of cooperation. Using UN agencies, we persist with the idea of dialogue. 46 memoranda have been signed. We work with Serbia, Iran, and China. Tomorrow we're going to sign a temporary agreement with Mongolia and an agreement with the UAE. We're in final stages of negotiation with Indonesia. We are working with India, Tunisia, and Jordan. Over the decade of the existence of the EU, our external trade has increased by nearly 40%. If we look at the market capacity today, 5 countries, 105 million plus observer countries, we will have 321 million. Considering preferential treatments, and that is China, India, then the market capacity will only increase. In December 2023, the heads of state have further outlined the development of our union. We are now focused on implementing the declaration that you adopted. We will continue to cooperate in ensuring a common market, boosting growth, transport, and connectivity. We will certainly continue to grow in all the initiatives that we've heard from your reports, dear heads of state. And we will certainly take into account the experience of customs cooperation and the agreement of the establishment of the EAEU. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, dear Mikhail Abdirovich. Dear ladies and gentlemen, among the invited guests, we have representatives of the countries who are interested in developing cooperation with the EAU. Practical steps have been taken. In 2023, a memorandum of cooperation was signed between the Republic of Belarus and Myanmar, and in 2024 with the Republic of Nicaragua. I'd like to invite the chairman, the Prime Minister, of Myanmar, Min Wan Hua.
Distinguished heads of state and dear participants of the plenary. First of all, allow me to express my sincere joy and the feeling of pride because I was invited to participate in the 4th EAEU official session. Dear participants of the forum, ever since its establishment in 2015, the Eurasian Economic Union was targeting the strengthening of economic cooperation between the member states and targeting the betterment of lives of peoples. Because of this, for the first time, the Eurasian Economic Forum is organized that unites member states as well as the countries with the status of observers and leaders of international business. Through such fora, as well as owing to the cooperation with international organizations and countries, the Eurasian Economic Union is strengthening its international role under the conditions of ever-changing global environment. I can note here that we have successfully implemented such initiatives as the development of the transport and energy platforms, promotion of the international payment systems, and signing the free trade agreements, and investments into different development sectors, and the improvement of the mechanisms for financial support. In order to put together the dissociated society, we need to try to create regional architecture based on mutual trust. The principles of the Eurasian Economic Union include the respect of the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and norms of international law and national interests of the member states. They are the basis and fundamental and very relevant under the current conditions. Such principles reflect the real needs of the current world. Now, the political and economic pressure, as well as sanctions slapped by superpowers of the world against small countries, violate the basic principles of peaceful coexistence. Myanmar is rightfully proud and promotes the achievements of EAEU, which consistently puts forward the great principles that any country would appreciate, and it contributes to the development of the countries all over the world. I'm very much interested in participating in the EAEU activities, and we intend on developing further cooperation. The main topic of this forum, strategic economic integration, are very relevant nowadays. I'm absolutely confident that today's session, under the chairmanship of the President of Belarus, will give a powerful boost for building the mutual trust and business relationship. Dear participants of the forum, the interaction between Myanmar and the Eurasian Economic Union started in 2022. Upon the invitation from Myanmar, the bodies of EAEU and Eurasian Economic Commission visited our country, where we organized useful consultations with our ministries on a broad range of issues, including power supply, agriculture, transport, and sports. In 2023, the interaction between Myanmar and the Eurasian Economic Union has been activated considerably within the framework of the 26th St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, hosted by Russia, we signed an MOU on cooperation between Myanmar and the European Economic Commission in 2024. The delegation from the Eurasian Economic Commission again visited Myanmar, which allowed us to give additional boost to the development of multi-sectoral cooperation. Within the framework of its implementation, we signed a memorandum of understanding and organized a session of joint working group, one in the capital, another in the city of Russia. And all of this contributed to the deepening of interaction and strengthening of mechanisms of coordination and laid a strong foundation for the subsequent development of partnership. We intend to continue expanding the capacities of our relationship with the member states of the EAEU in trade and economy. Dear members of the Forum, under the conditions of the current international circumstances related to many challenges, our shared goal is to act in order to successfully face these threats. The role of the EAEU in the modern world is to overcome such situations, and it can have a significant impact. It is with pleasure that I can know that in spite of all those challenges, EAEU continues to demonstrate a sustainable progress and achieving of commendable results over the past few years. Myanmar tries to join the EAEU whenever possible. I would like to use this opportunity to express my sincere request to make it possible for Myanmar to join EAEU as the observer state. Distinguished members, in conclusion, I would like to reconfirm the commitment of Myanmar to continue to actively cooperate with the Eurasian Economic Union based on the strong friendship, mutual respect, equality, and trust. And I would like to wish all your peoples health, prosperity. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Prime Minister. Now I would like to invite Special Representative of Nicaragua, Laureana Murillo Ortega. Mr. Ortega, you have the floor.
Buenas tardes, jefes de Estado, jefes de delegación, amigos.
Good afternoon, dear leaders of the states, dear friends and comrades. I would like to convey my regards from Daniel Ortega, the Comandante, from Mrs. Rosario, and I'd like to thank Mr. Lukashenko for organizing this forum. The Republic of Nicaragua recognizes the importance of the EAEU, which ensures that people of this world come together to cooperate and ensure a fair world. The world where the United States dominate and continues to set barriers, start wars, including customs ones, criminal blockades and sanctions, from which the heroic island of Cuba is suffering. These countries work to unite based on respect and independence. Nicaragua has also officially requested an observer status in this important union, and I would like to underscore that this is a very important objective for us, and we'd like to meet all the procedures to be granted this status. But we already feel like a part of it. We've been working with the Russian Federation, doing large projects in provision of pharmaceuticals, equipment. We also create banking instruments that help us overcome those hurdles that are set by the imperialists from the United States and the EU. Our cooperation is based on brethren. I'd like to note that Nicaragua needs to be recognized by the brotherly countries. We will be a platform of financial and economic development. Our economy is small, our country is small, but our history is grand. We always protect our sovereignty, we always protect our dignity. We have advantageous and privileged geographic position, which is advantageous for the development of economy in the region. It is a great honor for me to be here with the President Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Also, Nicaragua expresses solidarity in the fight that Russia carries out against fascism in the Ukraine. And as the Commandant Che Guevara said, the victory will be ours. Thank you, Mr. Ortega Maurilia. Dear ladies and gentlemen, with this, we finish our plenary. Allow me, on your behalf, to thank all the heads of states attending. We've covered a range of topics, and I hope further actions for integrations will be proposed. Thank you for your participation and attention. Tomorrow, we will have a no less important event, which is the sitting of the High Eurasian Council.